Narrated by Qarib Mawla ibn Abbas. Abdullah bin Abbas said that he had passed a night in the house of Ma'imuna, the mother of the faithful believers, who was his aunt. He said, I slept across the bed, and Allah's Messenger peace be upon him along with his wife slept lengthwise. Allah's Messenger peace be upon him slept till midnight or slightly before or after it. Then Allah's Apostle woke up, sat, and removed the traces of sleep by rubbing his hands over his face. Then he recited the last 10 verses of Surat Al-Imran, chapter 2. Then he went towards a hanging leather water container and performed a perfect ablution and then stood up for prayer. Abdullah bin Abbas added, I got up and did the same as Allah's Messenger peace be upon him had done, and then went and stood by his side. Allah's Messenger peace be upon him then put his right hand over my head, and caught my right ear and twisted it. He offered 2 rak'at, then 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 2 rak'at and then offered 1 rak'ah witr. Then he lay down till the mu'adhdhin came and then he prayed 2 light rak'at, and went out and offered the early morning, fajr, prayer. Narrated by Abdullah. We used to greet the Prophet peace be upon him while he was praying and he used to answer our greetings. When we returned from Najashi, the ruler of Ethiopia, we greeted him, but he did not answer us, during the prayer, and, after finishing the prayer he said, in the prayer one is occupied with a more serious matter. Narrated by Zayd bin Arqam. In the lifetime of the Prophet peace be upon him we used to speak while praying, and one of us would tell his needs to his companions, till the verse, guard strictly your prayers, Quran chapter 2 verse 238, was revealed. After that we were ordered to remain silent while praying. Narrated by Sal bin Sa'd. The Prophet peace be upon him went out to effect a reconciliation between the tribes of Bani Amr bin Auf, and the time of the prayer became due. Bilal went to Abu Bakr and said, the Prophet peace be upon him is detained. Will you lead the people in the prayer? Abu Bakr replied, yes, if you wish. So Bilal pronounced the Iqamah and Abu Bakr led the prayer. In the meantime the Prophet peace be upon him came crossing the rows, of the praying people, till he stood in the first row and the people started clapping. Abu Bakr never looked hither and thither during the prayer, but when the people clapped too much, he looked back and saw the Prophet peace be upon him in the first row. The Prophet peace be upon him waved him to remain at his place, but Abu Bakr raised both his hands and sent praises to Allah and then retreated, and the Prophet peace be upon him went forward and led the prayer. Narrated by Abdullah bin Mas'ud. We used to say the greeting, name, and greet each other in the prayer. Allah's Messenger peace be upon him heard it and said, say, all the compliments are for Allah and all the prayers and all the good things are for Allah. Peace be on you, O Prophet, and Allah's mercy and blessings are on you. And peace be on us and on the good, pious, worshippers of Allah. I testify that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah and that Muhammad is his slave and apostle. So, when you have said this, then you have surely sent the greetings to every good, pious, worshipper of Allah, whether he be in the heaven or on the earth. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Prophet peace be upon him said, the saying Subhanallah is for men and clapping is for women. If something happens in the prayer, the men can invite the attention of the Imam by saying Subhanallah. And women, by clapping their hands. Narrated by Sal bin Sa'd. The Prophet peace be upon him said, the saying Subhanallah is for men and clapping is for women. Narrated by Anas bin Malik. While Abu Bakr was leading the people in the morning prayer on a Monday, the Prophet peace be upon him came towards them suddenly, having lifted the curtain of Aisha's house, and looked at them as they were standing in rows and smiled. Abu Bakr tried to come back thinking that Allah's apostle wanted to come out for the prayer. The attention of the Muslims was diverted from the prayer because they were delighted to see the Prophet. The Prophet, peace be upon him, waved his hand to them to complete their prayer, then he went back into the room and let down the curtain. The Prophet expired on that very day. Narrated by Abu Huraira. Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, said, a woman called her son while he was in his hermitage and said, O Juray'i, he said, O Allah, my mother is calling me and I am offering my prayer, what shall I do? She again said, O Juray'i. He said again, O Allah, my mother is calling me and I am offering my prayer, what shall I do? She again said, O Juray'i. He again said, O Allah, my mother is calling me and I am offering my prayer. What shall I do? She said, O Allah, do not let Juray'i die till he sees the faces of prostitutes. A shepherdess used to come by his hermitage for grazing her sheep, and she gave birth to a child. She was asked whose child that was, and she replied that it was from Juray'i and that he had come out from his hermitage. Juray'i said, where is that woman who claims that her child is from me? When she was brought to him along with the child, Juray'i asked the child, O Babuz, who is your father? The child replied, the shepherd. Narrated by Muwakib. The Prophet, peace be upon him, talked about a man leveling the earth on prostrating, and said, if you have to do so, then do it once. Narrated by Anas bin Malik. We used to pray with the Prophet, peace be upon him, in scorching heat, and if someone of us could not put his face on the earth, because of the heat, then he would spread his clothes and prostrate over them. Narrated by Aisha. I used to stretch my legs towards the Qibla of the Prophet, peace be upon him, while he was praying. Whenever he prostrated he touched me, and I would withdraw my legs, and whenever he stood up, I would stretch my legs. Narrated by Abu Huraira. The Prophet, peace be upon him, once offered the prayer and said, Satan came in front of me and tried to interrupt my prayer, but Allah gave me an upper hand on him and I choked him. No doubt, I thought of tying him to one of the pillars of the mosque till you get up in the morning and see him. Then I remembered the statement of Prophet Solomon, my Lord, bestow on me a kingdom such as shall not belong to any other after me. Then Allah made him, Satan, return with his head down humiliated. Narrated by Al-Azraq bin Qais. We were at Al-Awaz fighting the Al-Haruriya tribe. While I was at the bank of a river, a man was praying and the reins of his animal were in his hands, and the animal was struggling and he was following the animal. Shuba, a sub-narrator, said that man was Abu Barza al-Islami. A man from the Khawarij said, O Allah, be harsh to this sheikh. And when the sheikh, Abu Barza, finished his prayer, he said, I heard your remark. No doubt, I participated with Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, in 6 or 7 or 8 holy battles and saw his leniency, and no doubt, I would rather retain my animal than let it return to its stable, as it would cause me much trouble. Narrated by Aisha. Once the sun eclipsed and Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, stood up for the prayer, and recited a very long surah and when bowed for a long while, and then raised his head and started reciting another surah. Then he bowed, and after finishing, he prostrated, and did the same in the second rak'ah, and then said, these lunar and solar eclipses are 2 of the signs of Allah, and if you see them, pray till the eclipse is over. No doubt, while standing at this place I saw everything promised to me by Allah, and I saw paradise, and I wanted to pluck a bunch of grapes therefrom, at the time when you saw me stepping forward. No doubt, I saw hell with its different parts destroying each other when you saw me retreating, and in it I saw Amr bin Luhay, who started the tradition of freeing animals, set them free, in the name of idols. Narrated by Ibn Umar. The Prophet peace be upon him saw some sputum on the wall facing the Qibla of the mosque, and became furious with the people of the mosque and said, during the prayer, Allah is in front of every one of you, and so he should not spit, or said, he should not expect orate. Then he got down and scratched the sputum with his hand. Ibn Umar said, after narrating, if any one of you has to spit during the prayer, he should spit to his left. Narrated by Anas. The Prophet peace be upon him said, whenever any one of you is in prayer, he is speaking in private to his Lord, and so he should neither spit in front of him nor on his right side but to his left side under his left foot. Narrated by Sahl bin Sa'd. The people used to offer the prayer with the Prophet peace be upon him with their waist sheets tied round their necks because of the shortness of the sheets, and the women were ordered not to lift their heads till the men had sat straight. Narrated by Abdullah. I used to greet the Prophet peace be upon him while he was in prayer, and he would return my greeting, but when we returned from Ethiopia I greeted the Prophet while he was praying, but he did not return the greeting, and after finishing the prayer he said, in the prayer one is occupied with a more serious matter. Narrated by Jabir bin Abdullah. Allah's Messenger peace be upon him sent me for some job, and when I had finished it I returned and came to the Prophet peace be upon him, and greeted him, but he did not return my greeting. So I felt so sorry that only Allah knows it, and I said to myself, perhaps Allah's Messenger peace be upon him is angry because I did not come quickly. Then again I greeted him, but he did not reply. I felt even more sorry than I did the first time. Again I greeted him and he returned the greeting and said, the thing which prevented me from returning the greeting was that I was praying. And at that time he was on his rahila and his face was not towards the Qibla. Narrated by Sahl bin Sa'd. The news about the differences amongst the people of Bani Amr bin Auf at Quba reached Allah's apostle, and so he went to them along with some of his companions to effect a reconciliation. Allah's apostle was delayed there and the time for the prayer became due. Bilal came to Abu Bakr and said, O Abu Bakr, Allah's Messenger peace be upon him is detained there and the time for the prayer is due. Will you lead the people in prayer? Abu Bakr replied, yes, if you wish. So Bilal pronounced the Iqamah and Abu Bakr went forward and the people said Takbir. In the meantime, Allah's Messenger peace be upon him came piercing through the rows till he stood in the first row and the people started clapping. Abu Bakr would never look hither and thither during the prayer, but when the people clapped much he looked back and saw Allah's Messenger peace be upon him. The Prophet peace be upon him beckoned him to carry on. Abu Bakr raised both his hands, praised Allah, and retreated till he stood in the row, and Allah's Messenger peace be upon him went forward and led the people in the prayer. When he had finished the prayer, he addressed the people and said, O people! Why did you start clapping when something happened to you in the prayer? Clapping is for women. Whenever one is confronted with something unusual in the prayer one should say, Subhanallah. Then the Prophet looked towards Abu Bakr and asked, what prevented you from leading the prayer when I beckoned you to carry on? Abu Bakr replied, it does not befit the son of Al-Qahafa to lead the prayer in the presence of Allah's Messenger peace be upon him. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. It was forbidden to keep the hands on the hips during the prayer. This is narrated by Abu Hurairah from the Prophet. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. It was forbidden to pray with the hands over one's hips. Narrated by Uqba bin al-Harith. I offered the Asr prayer with the Prophet peace be upon him, and after finishing the prayer with Taslim he got up quickly, and went to some of his wives and then came out. He noticed the signs of astonishment on the faces of the people caused by his speed. He then said, I remembered while I was in my prayer that a piece of gold was lying in my house, and I disliked that it should remain with us throughout the night, and so I have ordered it to be distributed. Narrated by Abu Huraira. Allah's Messenger peace be upon him said, when the adhan for the prayer is pronounced, then Satan takes to his heels passing wind so that he may not hear the adhan, and when the muaddin finishes, he comes back, and when the iqama is pronounced he again takes to his heels, and when it is finished, he again comes back and continues reminding the praying person of things that he used not to remember when not in prayer till he forgets how much he has prayed. Abu Salama bin Abdurrahman said, if any one of you has such a thing, forgetting the number of rakat he has prayed, he should perform 2 prostrations of sahu, forgetfulness, while sitting. Abu Salama narrates this from Abu Huraira. Narrated by Abu Huraira. People say that I narrate too many narrations of the Prophet. Once I met a man during the lifetime of the Prophet and asked him, which surah did Allah's Messenger peace be upon him recite yesterday in the Isha prayer? He said, I do not know. I said, did you not attend the prayer? He said, yes, I did. I said, I know. He recited such and such surah.